Upon visiting a cluttered flea market, Elizabeth's attention was caught by a peculiar doll nestled among old trinkets and forgotten keepsakes. Its cracked porcelain face and glassy, lifeless eyes chilled her, yet drew her in. On an ominous whim, she purchased the doll and brought it home, oblivious to the dark shadow she had invited into her life. As Elizabeth placed the doll on her living room shelf, she felt a shiver run down her spine, as though an unseen presence had slithered into her home. Dismissing it as imagination, she carried on with her evening. The first sign was subtle, a distant creak of a door, easily attributed to an old house settling. But as night fell, Elizabeth grew increasingly uneasy. The lights flickered as if struggling against a great darkness. In the silence, eerie whispers seemed to swirl around her. The doll, always appearing just within her sight, seemed to be watching. Days turned into nights of sleepless terror. The once serene household morphed into a twisted maze of unnerving sights and sounds. Elizabeth noticed the doll was never where she left it. On the kitchen counter, perched on the bathroom sink, even in her bedroom, those glassy eyes were always following. Desperate for answers, Elizabeth delved into the doll's origins. She discovered through old records a heart-stopping revelation. The doll once belonged to a young girl named Clara, who died tragically in a fire that consumed the house she lived in. The circumstances of her death were shrouded in mystery, but whispers of a vengeful spirit linked to the doll were disturbingly consistent in local legends. Convinced the haunted doll was a vessel for Clara's tormented soul, Elizabeth attempted to rid herself of it. She drove to a desolate field, intending to leave the doll behind and flee, but each effort to abandon it was thwarted. Every time she thought she was free, she'd return home to find the doll waiting, its cracked face contorted in a sinister, knowing expression. As the hauntings reached their dreadful peak, Elizabeth knew she had one final option. She gathered her courage and performed a desperate ritual she had read about in occult texts, hoping to break the doll's curse. But the spirit of Clara, consumed by malevolence, was not so easily dispelled. In the darkest hour of night, Elizabeth's screams echoed through the house, drowning in the cacophony of laughter from a child's voice long extinguished. When the silence finally fell, the doll sat innocently on the shelf, its glassy eyes glistening under the dim, flickering lights, waiting patiently for the next soul to claim. The cycle of horror was destined to repeat, as each owner would meet the same nightmarish fate, forever cursed by the malevolent spirit of the doll.